Beginning. Arrival at the starship Outpost. I never expected a simple diplomatic mission to become the most unforgettable day of my life. I'm Lieutenant Aaron Keel, human envoy assigned to the Tayluri Outpost, a remote station at the edge of the Aelythian cluster. Our goal: negotiate resource-sharing agreements with the Aelythian warrior clans, a species as proud as they are unpredictable. The moment I entered the Great Hall, I was struck by the grandeur of Aelythian architecture. Massive bioluminescent crystals jutted from the walls, casting refracted rainbows across the obsidian floor. Rows of warriors in ceremonial armor lined the hall, each one silent and imposing. But among them, one figure drew my attention like a gravitational pull. Serana, the famed Aelythian warrior known for her skill, authority, and legendary beauty. Her armor was sleek, dark as obsidian with streaks of molten gold that shimmered with her movements. The helmet concealed her face partially, revealing only her piercing violet eyes. She radiated authority. Every step, every tilt of her head exuded confidence and danger. I was instructed to be polite, to observe protocol, and, most importantly, to not speak out of turn. But as she approached for introductions, I couldn't help but be captivated. The question that changed everything. After a tense exchange of greetings, the Aelythian High Council requested a private conversation between me and Serana. I was nervous. No human had ever been granted this honor. She motioned for me to follow her into the private chamber, a room illuminated by floating crystal orbs. The air hummed with a subtle energy, almost like it anticipated what would happen next. She turned to face me fully, helmet removed, revealing a striking face framed by iridescent hair. Her violet eyes seemed to see into my very thoughts. Then she asked, in a voice both commanding and curious, "Lieutenant Keel, what is your desire?" I blinked. I hadn't expected the question. In diplomatic settings, questions are measured, cautious. Not like this, direct, personal, raw. I laughed nervously. "Well, I guess I'd say." I hesitated, then grinned and said half-jokingly, "You." Her eyes widened slightly, and the air seemed to shift. I expected a chuckle, a scoff, maybe even a sharp reprimand for my impudence. Instead, she tilted her head and asked softly, "I see. And is that a joke?" "Yes, of course," I replied quickly, trying to play it off with a nervous grin. Just a bit of humor. But Serana did not laugh. She didn't move aggressively either. Instead, she paused, her gaze fixed on me with a depth that felt almost tangible. Then, without a word, she began to remove her armor, piece by piece, setting it aside with deliberate care. Froze. My joke had triggered something real. Something that crossed boundaries I hadn't even realized existed. The unexpected connection. Could barely speak. My heart hammered in my chest as Serana stepped closer, her lithe form illuminated by the ambient glow of the crystals. Despite her partial alien physiology, slightly elongated limbs, luminescent skin patterns, and a subtle aura of power, there was a humanity in her eyes, a vulnerability that made her more captivating than any armor or weapon could. "Lieutenant," she said softly, "your words, they carried honesty, even as a joke. I must ask, did you truly mean them?" I swallowed hard. I don't know," I admitted. "I didn't think it would matter. It was a joke. But seeing you like this, I realize I wasn't joking at all." Her violet eyes softened. Few humans ever speak so openly to an Aelythian warrior. Even fewer mean what they say. "You intrigue me, Lieutenant Keel." I felt the tension in the room shift, like the calm before a storm. Only this storm was intimate, charged with unspoken possibilities. "Intrigue me," echoed. She nodded. You are fearless in a way I did not expect. Most humans are cautious, hesitant, bound by protocol. Yet you speak freely. That is rare. I realized then that my casual joke had broken more than the formalities of diplomacy. It had broken through layers of alien expectation, armor, and emotional barriers. Middle learning each other. Over the next several hours, the private chamber became a place of conversation rather than ceremony. Serana and I spoke of our worlds, our fears, our ambitions. She told me about the traditions of the Aelythian warriors, their code of honor, their rituals of strength, and the ways in which they tested each other for loyalty and courage. I spoke about Earth, our struggles to unite under one banner despite differences, and the ways humans find humor and warmth even in the face of danger. The dialogue was mesmerizing. Each revelation about her culture, each story about my people, created a bridge between us. I began to understand that her taking off her armor wasn't an act of seduction. It was a test, a gesture of trust, a form of vulnerability that few ever dared to show. She looked at me and said quietly, "You see me as I am, not as the warrior everyone expects me to be. That is powerful." "I see you," I replied, "and I can't pretend otherwise. Your strength, your courage, your honesty. It's captivating." Her lips curved in the faintest smile, a mixture of amusement and contemplation. "Perhaps your joke was more truthful than you realized," she whispered. Middle the unexpected crisis. Just as the connection between us deepened, a sudden alarm blared through the outpost. Rogue mercenaries, intent on sabotaging the alliance talks, had infiltrated the station. Weapons fire erupted in the halls, energy shields flaring against the attackers' assault. Serana's warrior instincts kicked in immediately. She moved with fluid precision, deflecting attacks and coordinating defensive wards while I tried to keep pace, relying on my training but aware that I was outmatched by her experience. In the chaos, I realized something remarkable. Even in danger, she carried the same aura that had captivated me earlier. Her vulnerability had transformed into strength, her honesty into unshakable confidence. We fought side by side, each move synchronized in ways that felt almost instinctual. The humor of my earlier joke seemed distant, yet it had opened the door to a trust that allowed us to survive this attack together, ending a bond forged. After the threat was neutralized, we returned to the private chamber, bruised but victorious. The glow of the crystals reflected in our eyes, creating a serene contrast to the chaos moments before. Serana spoke softly, her tone almost reverent. "Your words, your honesty, it changed everything. Not just this mission but how I see connection, trust, and perhaps desire." I felt a warmth spread through my chest. "I never expected a joke to have such consequences," I admitted. "But I also never expected you to trust me like this, so quickly." She reached out, her hand brushing mine. The contact was electric but gentle, a silent acknowledgement of the bond we had forged. "You have seen me," she said, "beyond the armor, beyond the expectation, beyond the warrior. And I see you as well." Smiled. Then perhaps the joke wasn't a joke at all. She laughed softly, the sound resonating like chimes in the crystalline chamber. "Perhaps it was the most honest thing you've ever said." As we stood there, hand in hand, I realized that the alliance we had come to secure wasn't just between humans and Aelythians. It was personal. My humor, my honesty, had opened a path of trust, understanding, and connection that no treaty or negotiation could match.